Hey guys, Captain Henson here. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Bantam's last AVP book, AVP War, which is the adaptation of the Dark Horse comic of the same name. So this definitely leaves this story leaves Hunter Planet in a weird place. Because this wasn't an adaptation of a Dark Horse comic, it does its own thing. And there are things that happen in War that contradict Hunter's Planet. Now, chronologically speaking, Hunter's Planet would take place after War, but again, events that happen in this story contradict this, and besides, the events of this story do play a role later on, like in 3 World War. So, it leaves this book as a nice standalone piece. I mean, in terms of, like, being a direct sequel to Prey or AVP Volume 1, whatever you'd want to call the first story, War is definitely much better. The story is about Michiko finally leaving the tribe she joined at the end of the first story. And that's the important thing here. Unlike Hunter's Planet, which we're introduced to Michiko sometime after she's already left, here we actually see her leave, and I think, honestly, I don't get why we have to do my own research, because I don't know. Yeah, now I remember. This comic was released in, I want to say 91, is that 91, 92, or maybe even 1990? Well, all 3 of the Predator books came out in 94. Yeah, 94. So, honestly, I don't know. Have to do a bit of research, but unfortunately, the wiki isn't really helpful in the research department. The articles on, like, any Alien or Predator product is, like, next to nothing. Well, in the comics books department. Doesn't matter. Point is, I don't know why Hunter's Planet did what it did. Just completely skipping over that fact. Because, I mean, even War here doesn't try to fit in with Hunter's Planet. Doesn't really matter. Continuity in the Alien Predator franchise can get really screwy, especially later on. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And this also is bigger story, because it also acts as a sequel to Alien Berserker. Now, I haven't read that story yet. I have the comic, but haven't read it. So, this is like the first, I want to say this is like the first real crossover. I mean, yeah, Alien vs. Predator, I mean, obviously, this is already a crossover, but I mean, in terms of named characters coming together, because it does take place, like, very soon after Berserker. Characters interact, all good. Classic Alien story. Weyland-Yutani's back, taking over. In the first, or in AVP Prey, it was the Chigusa Corporation, and unlike Weyland-Yutani, they aren't a weapons, they're an agricultural corporation, while Weyland-Yutani deals more with, weapons and technology. And I did like that the adaptation actually acknowledged the Jagusa Corporation. The comic doesn't even mention them. Whatever. This is, in all intents and purposes, another classic alien story. You know, survivors of a recent alien attack get picked up by the company, and the company acts like the company. On a planet, aliens somehow wind up loose, wreak havoc, and at the end, the survivors escape. Now, of course, what sets this apart is, well, the predators. Like with Prey, they're bringing the aliens to a planet in order to hunt them. And not much to say on the Predator front. We do get to see Machiko interact with them, and that's really interesting. I mean, of course, most of the time we see Predators, and especially if you read the Predator comics, which are coming out alongside the AVP and Alien comics, the Predators are portrayed much differently. While in the Predator comics, they're portrayed more as how they were in the first two films. Here, a bit different, a bit more Klingon. Now, of course, that may come down to the fact that in AVP store, and plenty of AVP stories, there's always, or you can have a human or human-like character, such as an android or something, working alongside a predator. They get more humanized, though it should be noted that they aren't good guys. They're still, predators at the end of the day. They'll still seed a fucking planet with xenomorphs in order to hunt them. Machiko figures out her humanity in this one. Fortunately, we don't see her again until 3 World War, which came out in 2009, so about 20 years later. But I do think this was a good way to at least cap off the character for a while. Even if we don't get to see her much, this does act as a good end to her arc. Because, let's face it, living with predators for a year, yeah, not fun, and does a good job. None of the predators like her. Her tribe doesn't like her. Most of them just barely tolerate her. None of them want her there. Obviously, she's human, and humans are their prey. And in terms of the alien side of things, like with most AVP stories, the aliens are just, they still have they're still portrayed as they were in Aliens. So, again, if you're a huge fan of Big Chap from Alien, honestly, I don't know how, honestly, I don't understand how you could be a fan of the entire franchise if you're really big and if you really only like the portrayal of Big Chap compared to how they were in Aliens. Beside the point. But, yeah, at the end of the day, I do think this was it was a good sequel to the first comic and the first novel. It acts as a good, Machiko's character development, it acts as a good continuation of Machiko's story, and we do get a good end point. We do see her grow from the first story, and of course come to the realization of, at the end of the day, she's human. So she's going to side with humanity at the end of the day. And because it's me, just want to point out that we got a sequence that I much appreciated. Okay. Much appreciated. I mean, granted, given that it's the Predators, makes sense, but Barefoot Machiko, always nice. Besides the point. So, yes, War is a very good AVP story. Highly recommended if you're getting into the both franchises, just this one. Acts as a good standalone piece, and we do see that there is a continuity within, the Dark Horse comics. Now, the Predator stuff is mostly standalone and also taking place in the present day. But still, we do see that there is an effort here we do see that they are telling the audience that yes, this isn't just its own distinct franchise within these two larger franchises. It's all one continuity. Now, it's not as connected as, say, the Star Wars EU, which was going on at the same time. Dark Empire just came out during this time, or not yet, sometime in the early 90s. The point is, read the story if you're getting into the franchise. And since I've finally capped off this trilogy, I thought I would talk about the omnibus that Titan did, since they gained the publishing rights in 2014. I think at least they started off doing a pretty good job. I've only read up until River of Pain in terms of both Alien and Predator content. So, yeah. Weird thing with Titan when it comes to their covers, they really, really like Requiem. Oh, case in point. This is a very bad way to sell any AVP product, because, again, Requiem, why? If I had to guess, it's because I want to say maybe, obviously them being too lazy to do illustrated covers, Bantam, or even Dark Horse. I mean, Dark Horse had some that either way, original covers, even if they're not illustrated. Why? And again, Requiem. I want to say, tangent aside, I want to say it's because Fox, they're too, I don't want to say, they just want to get the, using images from Fox, promotional material, images from promo material, or images, or screenshots from films. And Requiem is the cheapest one they can get for. I don't know. At the very least, this the other Titan Omnibuy are cheap, only $10. Well, this one's $10, but I think the Alien ones can be I think they're also $10, but again, cheap. It's a way to get them. I got this. I got the omnibus before getting them individually, but because, you know, this cover, I wanted to get them individually, and plus, you know, I'm a sucker for illustrated covers. Getting the books individually is easy. You can get these, or get the novels for like $5. They're like the Star Wars books, cheap. And I would recommend both here. When it comes to the novelization, origin, adaptate, whatever, it doesn't really change anything. We get more detail, and we get to see what the characters are thinking. So I think it's worth reading both of them. Read the comic because it was, you know, it came out first, and for the visual aspect of it, and then read the novel for getting more detail and getting to know the characters a bit more. So that's that. So what did you think of AVP War? Do you think it was a better sequel than Hunter's Planet? Do you think we should have seen more of Machiko? Do you, like me, want to see Machiko return, maybe in this new canon, if they're going with a new canon? It's always hard to tell with this franchise. Let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, this is Captain Henson, signing off.